video on something that I just want to have a bit of a play around with. Got a bit of a cough and a bit of a cold. So I want to do a potato galette, but what I want to do, so potato galette is thinly sliced potato, and then you arrange it nicely in a oven-proof dish or a frying pan, and you have to fry or bake it, and in like butter or oil or nice fat type of thing, and then you flip it over, and it's nice and crispy, and they can be deep, so they can got lots of layers of potato, or they can just be a few layers of potato. And I kind of thought I wanted to have a go. I've made roast potatoes, so I made a roast potato the other day that I was faffing around with, but I've never made a galette, which is quite an old. I don't think particularly. It's not a common thing anymore. Probably like a 60s and 70s type of thing. So they've fallen out of fashion. But I wanted to have a go at making one out of interest. But then I was kind of thinking that what we do with potatoes is we always kind of add things to potatoes to make them more interesting. So I remember watching a Keith Floyd video years ago, and he was walking around a market in France, and he was talking about all the things that were for sale. So it was quite a rural, poor part of France, where people used everything. They didn't waste a scrap of food, and they foraged, and and it was kind of quite interesting. So like and I remember going to France and with college, and a couple of my lecturers went, and they kind of came back from they'd been off to see they'd gone to stay at one of the lecturers' house, and he cooked them lunch, and he cooked them like a whole cockerel, and he even put in the crown. There's that floppy bit on top of the cockerel's head, and underneath the beak as well, there's that flappy bit of skin. The guy had even cut that off and fried it up and put it in the salad type of thing. So they don't waste anything. So Keith Floyd was walking around this market, and you could buy these little patés, not a pâté as in like a terrine type of pâté, but like these little flat discs of blood, chicken blood, that had been fried and had bits of pork fat in it. So when they'd killed the chickens, they'd hung them upside down, and the blood had drained out of them, and they collected this blood, and then they either dried it or fried it with little cubes of pork fat in, and it turned into this like disc about so big. And Keith Floyd described that what they would do with these like little blood pancakes, you'd tear it up and you'd put it into your scrambled eggs or your omelette to kind of give quite a plain dish another layer of flavour and not kind of waste anything. So I was kind of thinking, like, we do that with potatoes. We add garlic, we add onions, we fry potatoes in butter, we fry potatoes in beef dripping to cook chips. So we're always doing things to potatoes to kind of make them more interesting. And I was kind of thinking it'd be kind of quite nice to put something in the layers of galette. This won't be a new idea, and I haven't researched it enough. All I've really done is just look up galette on the internet, and to kind of see if I was calling it the right thing. And I was kind of thinking, but it'd be quite nice if there was layers of something in with the potato to kind of make it a little bit more interesting. So you kind of think gratin dauphinoise potatoes. There is garlic, and there is salt and pepper, and there is cream in there to kind of set it. But I was kind of thinking, well, it might be in the layers of potato. It might be kind of quite nice to have some. I'm going to put some pepper in there, but it might be kind of quite nice to have like little bits of bacon in there, or something else. You know, so if we could like look around my cupboards, I'll just pause and we'll kind of pull something out of the cupboard out of interest. Right, so you quickly go through the cupboards and you find that you've got some crispy fried onions. So some crispy fried onions, broken up a little bit smaller and then sprinkled in between the layers of potatoes. You kind of go, oh, that'd be nice. So that type of thing. And then I was kind of like, well, it'd be kind of quite nice to have, if there was some leftover salami, kind of maybe cube that up. And then as the salami was heated, as the potatoes cooked, the fat would come out of the salami, and that'd be kind of quite nice. And I was like, well, we could just buy some salami. So I bought this salami, and we could just make some thin slices and put some thin slices in between the potato, and then put more potato on top, cook the bottom, flip it over, and then we'd have this layer of potato and then a thin layer of smoked salami. So that's what we're going to do. And then also, because I'm a hoarder and I don't throw anything away, we've got some interesting bits of fat. So I cooked some bacon the other day, some cooking bacon, and that's the fat that came off the top of the poaching liquid for the cooking bacon. So we've got that, and then that's some fat that came out of the fat and skin from that bacon that I pulled off the bacon, and I fried that fat and skin up, and there's some nice lard that kind of came out of that. This looks like it's some lard, I think. It's a bit of a taste. That's the lard that came out of some pork crackling that I was making. So that's interesting, that's full of flavour. And then this, I think, is some kind of fat from a salami. So, what's that taste of? Can't remember what that is. It's something, it's some kind of fatty salami or something or other. Interesting fats. So, interesting fats to kind of cook the potatoes in. So I'm going to do a short version of this as well, because I've already waffled along for 6 minutes. I'll do the short version. So I quite like the idea of my sister and brother-in-law started watching my videos, which I kind of half mentioned that I was making videos, and then people kind of go, oh, get around to watching them, and my brother-in-law rather quite likes them, and he's done one of my videos, and I'm quite proud that he's done one of my videos. So, and I quite like the idea of doing a short video where we just do the cooking, and then a long video which I do the explaining, because I like the explaining bit, but my brother-in-law likes the fast, punchy, quick videos. So it's in a minute, it tells you everything that you need to do. It doesn't tell you why you need to do those things, it just tells you cook this until it looks like that, cook that until it looks like that, combine those together and do this, and this is your dish. You know, he kind of quite likes that, and I kind of think, so if my brother-in-law likes that, other people must like that as well. And I quite like the challenge of doing that. So this is me waffling. The next bit will be the peeled potatoes, slice of salami, fry this, fry that, do it all together, and then at the end we'll do a bit of a tasty test type of thing. So this is this crispy potato galette stuffed with salami. Peel the potatoes, wash the potatoes, dry the potatoes, slice the potatoes, slicing them nice and thin, being careful when you're using your Japanese finger slicer. Melt some delicious fat in a frying pan. Arrange your potatoes, season your potatoes, slice your salami nice and thin, arrange your salami, arrange more potatoes, fry your potatoes gently, flatten your potatoes gently, flip the potato, slide the potato, flatten the potato, carry on cooking the potato, serve the potato. Right, let's have a look inside this. How are we going to do this? Scissors. A knife is not gonna. That sounds really crispy on the bottom. Let's flip that over. Let's flip that over. The bottom might be better. So. Oh, look at that. Bit crispier. So. Let's just have a look. The scissors gonna and the knife's not gonna be sharp enough to cut through this. It'll just make a mess. So let's just pull that portion out. Ooh, that looks good. Looks good. Oh, need to put that on a better plate so we can do a better starter to it. Oh, do you know? Right, let's have a look at this. We are recording, aren't we? We are. Right, let's have a taste of this. I think this is going to be delicious. Potatoes with salami. Fried potatoes with salami. That's going to be lovely, isn't it? So let's just have a look at... Well, the salami's just heated through, so some of the fat will have come out. So we can just crunch through it with a fork. Now we've cut it. How does it taste? Well, that's delicious. Oh, lovely. So it's nice and crispy on top. So we need to flip it over. So cook it on one side, flip it over, cook it on the other side, and then flip it back over. And that's the second side that we flip back over, and that's crunchy. So that's lovely, is that? So it's a smoked paprika one. It's a paprika salami. So there's obviously there's more flavour in that. But any kind of salami that you get your hands on, even just kind of like dice it up and put it in. You know, obviously I did slices, but you could just dice it up, and then anything. You know, like a bit of some leftover cooked bacon. You could put in some like fried lamb mince or fried beef mince, you know, that had been cooked down, some kind of leftovers to kind of put on. I suppose you could even spread a bit of like rough pate or chicken livers in it. I wonder if that would work. No, they might overcook chicken livers, but like a bit of pate kind of go through it. You know what I mean? And then it also doesn't have to be. I've done mine kind of quite thin. You could do it layers more, so more like a tall stack of potatoes, kind of layers potatoes, and in between more salami, but not so much. Just be careful with the seasoning. If you're using salami, they tend to be salty, so you don't want to put too much seasoning in, because you're going to get the seasoning from the salami. But anything, you kind of like, even like making up a paste of anchovies. So blending up the anchovies in the oil in a food processor, and kind of like brushing that on a couple of layers would add a really kind of quite interesting flavour. But or just kind of some herbs going through it. But anything to kind of give it that umami kind of kick, or maybe it's like some curry powder in between the layers. You know, like you put pepper in. It's a spices pepper, so why not put in some like a curry powder in between the layers? And then you kind of think, because that would work, because I think of Bombay potatoes. So Bombay potatoes have got cooked with onions and curry powder, very basically. So it would have, you know, that would kind of work as well. So just kind of like expand your mind a little bit and think about what you could put in the layers. But salamis work, so what else could work? Any kind of leftovers, just to kind of eke something out a little bit more, you know. So certainly some bacon chopped up and fried, and then use that fat from the bacon in the potato galette as well. But like any kind of, like some old sliced ham or beef or pork, you know, kind of from a joint of beef, or off the last bit of from the sandwiches, you know, from the week that you've taken to work. You know, you've got one slice of ham left and one slice of beef. Use that, you know. But anyway, that's delicious. I'm going to enjoy eating that. And it's also a bit of a breakfast thing. I think that'd be nice for a breakfast. You know, imagine that with an egg on it. That would be lovely. But anyway, that's a success.